What if everything you thought you knew about the first woman was a lie? What if Eve wasn't actually first at all? Before the gardens of Eden bloomed, before Adam ever drew breath, there existed another woman whose name has been whispered in shadows for thousands of years. Her story was erased from most holy books, buried beneath centuries of silence, yet her legend refuses to die. This is the tale of Lilith, the first woman who dared to demand equality and paid the ultimate price. If stories like this fascinate you, make sure to subscribe, because we dive deep into the mysteries that history tried to hide. Long before the world knew Eve, in the pristine moments of creation itself, God formed two beings from the same clay, the same earth, the same divine breath. Adam and Lilith stood together in that first garden, equal in every way, both made in the image of their Creator. The ancient texts speak of this moment with reverence, describing how the morning light touched their faces as they opened their eyes for the very first time. Lilith was breathtaking. Her hair flowed like liquid midnight, her eyes held the depth of eternity, and her voice carried the music of creation itself. She was not made from Adam's rib, not fashioned as an afterthought or helper, but created as his equal partner. The ground beneath their feet was the same ground from which they both emerged. The breath in their lungs came from the same divine source. For a time, paradise was perfect. Adam and Lilith walked together through gardens that stretched beyond imagination. They named the animals side by side, their voices harmonizing as they spoke each creature into its identity. The lion padded silently past them, golden mane catching sunlight. Eagles soared overhead, their cries echoing across valleys filled with flowers that had no names yet. Rivers sparkled like diamonds as they wound through forests, where every leaf seemed painted by hand. But even in paradise, conflict found its way. The trouble began subtly, as most troubles do. Adam expected Lilith to follow his lead in all things. When they walked, he expected her to walk behind him. When they spoke with the animals, he expected his voice to be the final word. When night fell and they lay together, he expected her to submit to his desires without question. Lilith's response was swift and unwavering. Why should I lie beneath you when I am made from the same earth? Why should I be silent when my voice carries the same divine authority? We are equals, Adam. I will not bow to you simply because you wish it. Her words rang through the garden like thunder. The very trees seemed to lean in to listen. This was perhaps the first argument in human history, the first time two people stood face to face and disagreed about the fundamental nature of their relationship. Adam's face flushed with anger and confusion. God made us to be together, Lilith. There must be order. Someone must lead. Then let us take turns, Lilith replied, her voice steady, but her heart beginning to race. Let us share this burden and this joy. Why must one rule over the other? But Adam had already made up his mind. He turned away from her, his shoulders rigid with stubborn pride. This is how it must be, Lilith. This is the natural order. Lilith stood there in the fading light of that perfect day, watching the man she had loved walk away from her. The flowers around her feet seemed to wilt slightly, as if sensing the coming storm. She pressed her hands to her chest, feeling her heart break for the first time in creation's history. That night, as Adam slept, Lilith made a decision that would echo through eternity. She spoke the sacred name of God aloud, words so powerful they had never been uttered by human lips before. The sound shook the very foundations of creation. Light blazed around her as she felt herself lifted from the earth, carried away from the garden on wings she didn't know she possessed. She flew through the darkness, her tears falling like stars onto the earth below. She had chosen freedom over submission, equality over peace, independence over companionship. But the price was everything she had ever known. God noticed her absence immediately. The garden felt incomplete, unbalanced. 3 angels were dispatched to bring her back: Senoi, Sansenoi, and Semangaloth. Their wings carved silver paths through the sky as they pursued her across the vast wilderness. They found her by the Red Sea, standing on the shore where the waves crashed endlessly against ancient rocks. Her hair whipped around her face in the salt-heavy wind. Her eyes, once bright with joy, now held the weight of profound loss. "Lilith!" called Senoi, his voice carrying the authority of heaven. "You must return." "God commands it. Adam awaits you." Lilith turned to face them, her chin raised defiantly despite the tears on her cheeks. "I will not return to bow down to one who considers himself my superior. If equality cannot exist in paradise, then I choose exile." "Return now," warned Sansenoi, "or face punishment beyond your imagining." "Then let punishment come," Lilith whispered. "I would rather rule in exile than serve in paradise." The angels' faces grew dark with sorrow. They knew what must come next. "If you will not return willingly, then know this curse. You will lose 100 of your children each day for all eternity. Loneliness will be your companion, and darkness your dwelling place." Lilith's scream pierced the night sky. It was a sound of such anguish that it made the stars themselves weep. But even as the curse settled upon her shoulders like a heavy cloak, she did not yield. "So be it," she said, her voice breaking. "But hear my words in return. I will visit the children of Adam and Eve. I will whisper to them in the night of freedom and choice. I will remind them that submission is not the only path." The angels departed in silence. Their mission failed. Lilith remained by the Red Sea, transformed now into something between mortal and divine, blessed and cursed, free and eternally alone. Meanwhile, back in the garden, Adam woke to find Lilith gone. He searched for her among the roses and beside the crystal streams. He called her name until his voice was hoarse, but she did not answer. The garden felt empty without her laughter, colorless without her presence. It was then that God, seeing Adam's loneliness and perhaps recognizing the flaw in the original design, caused a deep sleep to fall upon him. From Adam's rib, God fashioned Eve, a woman who would be a helper and companion. someone who shared Adam's very essence, but was made to complement rather than challenge. When Adam awoke and saw Eve, he rejoiced. "This at last is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh." He had learned from his experience with Lilith, and Eve, born from his body rather than the earth, seemed naturally inclined toward harmony rather than conflict. But Lilith's story didn't end with her exile. Throughout history, she has been remembered as the night demon, the stealer of children, the whisperer of forbidden knowledge. Some see her as evil incarnate, others as the first feminist, the first woman to demand equal treatment and refuse to accept subjugation. In Jewish folklore, she became the queen of demons, ruling over creatures of the night. Mothers would hang amulets over their newborns' cribs to protect them from her influence. Yet, even in these dark tales, there's an underlying recognition of her power, her refusal to be diminished or forgotten. The truth about Lilith reveals something profound about the human condition. Her story speaks to the eternal struggle between freedom and harmony, independence and partnership, equality and order. She represents the part of us that refuses to accept unjust authority, that chooses difficult freedom over comfortable servitude. Perhaps Lilith wasn't the monster that later stories made her out to be. Perhaps she was simply a woman who knew her worth and refused to settle for less than she deserved. In choosing exile over submission, she became a symbol for every person who has ever stood up against oppression, who has chosen the harder path in pursuit of dignity and self-respect. Her legacy lives on in every act of courage, every demand for equality, every refusal to accept because I said so as sufficient reason for injustice. Lilith may have lost paradise, but she kept her soul intact. And sometimes that's worth more than all the gardens in creation. The story of the first woman before Eve reminds us that the price of freedom is often loneliness, but the price of submission is the loss of self. Lilith chose her path and never looked back. And perhaps there's something beautiful in that kind of unwavering conviction, even when it costs us everything we hold dear. Subscribe for more hidden stories that challenge everything you thought you knew about history.